All right, y'all. First and foremost, give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and his son, the Mashiach, who some call Yahushua, Yeshua, Yehoshua. We mostly know as Jesus Christ. This is a very disturbing video. It's so disturbing that it's almost surreal. It's almost like, are they serious? Like, is this really I'm not gonna ramble on too long because this is about a 20-minute clip, okay, that we got to get through. I've chopped this video up. Shouts out to this brother Theology. It may pop up on the screen and we'll be able to shout the brother out who gave us this glimpse. This brother elder here, he's a dean at Morehouse. This is some meeting at Morehouse. And these are young inspiring pastors, young students. And then you got a few elders here, you got a few other gentlemen here, and then that brother there is seems like he may be in his 40s, something like that, late 30s or whatever. But they're having a conversation about where the black church is going. He's churning out this new generation of pastors, training them up. All right. You see that joker right there, that young brother right there with the afro? Got his hand propped up, sitting on his chin, sitting front row. Man, if they don't get hold to that brother, man, the Lord don't grab this joker here, and this brother here don't repent and come up out of this thing, he is gonna be very problematic. He might be like he has a zeal for this foolishness that y'all are about to hear. He's ready to take charge, to start his church, to start the new church, the new black church. That's what I may title this. But they are prepping. This is what we're watching. We're watching those meetings where they're prepping. And it's bold. Like, where did this footage even come from? It's bold that they're even filming it. They're getting bolder and bolder, but they're giving them the do's and the don't of the new world, of this new dispensation, of the new church and how it's going to operate. Let's go ahead and get into the clip.
Is that many of you are going into the divinity schools, the schools of theology. The faculty are busy divesting the colonialized theology.
They're divesting the colonial theology.
And people are doing what Tillich is recommending, that the courage to be is the courage to affirm your own identity, who you are. And to just give you one illustration of how difficult that is, that means we're not locked into just two genders.
See, the colonialized theology is two genders. Now we're divesting. Okay, your academics, your deans, your teachers, your professors in these seminary schools, they're working hard, divesting, trying to get you out of the mindset that there are only two genders. No, not in the new world. Not in this new dispensation. Not in the new church.
That's the big hurdle. The church is having a hard time with that. There are more than just two genders. And if you believe that that is the ironclad law, then what you're revealing is that you really don't have a very deep understanding or knowledge about human nature and the human species. You don't realize how the whole creation is evolving changing every day, growing up to be something very different, and people, as Dr. King used to say, just want to be free.
Brung in Dr. King. And people like Dr. King say just want to be free. Humans are evolving. Genders are evolving. They, people are transforming. They tell you, be ye not. But be ye transformed. Metamorpho. The Greek word for transform. Be you not conform to the world, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. By the word.
Free to be themselves. And there's where the toxicity comes in. Because you have institutional resistance in the church, in the government, and in the universities. It's been going on since the beginning of civilization.
Yeah. I think that's a really interesting point, Dean, considering...
I told you this little joker here when I watched this earlier. I'm like, this little joker here. What? You gotta watch this little joker, man. He gonna mess around. Somebody gonna mess around and give him a church.
In recent news, what's been happening in Florida with Governor DeSantis, and I know you mentioned some of the things that happened in news in your sermon, but what's happening in Florida with Governor DeSantis and the education bills that he has.
Talk to everybody.
Oh, I'm sorry. And the education bills that he has presented in terms of the AP African American Studies course that they have redacted a lot of information from that does not allow a fully liberated educational experience for African American students in that particular state. And I think that it's interesting that you brought up the idea about the two genders, and I would just posit maybe that we have constructed socially an idea about man and woman that does not fully allow people to be people. Like you said, it doesn't allow people to be free, to be themselves. And so in order for me to be defined as a man, I have to sort of conform to socially to these and check off every box that says, oh, I have the suit, I have the tie, I have the certain kind of haircut, and that makes me a man, but it doesn't allow Caleb to be Caleb or Damari to be Damari.
Yeah.
See what they doing? Well, I say you gotta watch that little joker, man. You see what they doing? Yeah, no, you can't tell me just because I dress like this, or just because I like to wear makeup, just because I like to have painted nails. You see a lot of these athletes painting their nails now. A lot of these artists, a lot of these athletes. I seen even a college athlete. Yeah, man, I'm painting them for my little sister because, she likes to paint my nails. No, you not. But anyway, you can't tell me I ain't a man if I don't get my man. I remember, my worldly days. And, sister used to try to get me to go to get the pedicures and all that, and it was just like, no, I just didn't feel right. It's just nah. I'll be sitting in there with y'all, man. But I see the value in it now. It still be hard to get me in there. It'll be almost impossible. Be honest, you gonna have to set that up. We do that at the house. But we're making a lot of things. We making a lot of things that we deemed effeminate back in the day, and it started, man. It gradually got us where man, we used to get on them skinny jeans. Y'all remember, man, if you been when the jokers started wearing them tight jeans, man, we used to get on jokers. But now the chino pants and the skinny leg jeans, that's the norm now. Nobody's wearing nothing baggy. And now they kind of bringing back the baggy, and it's like extra baggy. You know, you want the extra oversized tees and the pants that flare out to the darn, you know, all over your shoe. You know, they want the shirt that stop at the waist. That's kind of effeminate, but that's what they want. And it's my job, you know. I'm into the textile business, so it's you know, I look at these trends. And I know I can sell it. You know, I just don't want to sell it, but I know I can sell it. You know, I know if I do it, and I know what I do. You know, I know what I'll be a part of, man, because that stuff will be all, man. That stuff will be, it'll get, and it's gonna happen. It's gonna eventually get inside of Israel, and you know, we more and more looking like the world. You know, it was one thing to get on us about the costumes and all of that, but at least it wasn't like the world. Like it's a little different. Yeah, it looked funny to the world, but at least it's, you know, it's kind of some biblical stuff to it, and it's your own thing. It ain't the world. But now, you know, jokers with the ZZs, you know, you can put the ZZs on with the oversized tee, or you can put the skinny jeans on in the you know, one of these, you know, skin tight shirts, fitted shirts to stop at your navel, and have your ZZs on.
The point that you're making is a powerful and significant point that I feel that it's necessary for me to interrupt you to conscientize everybody in the room as what you just said. Without mentioning it, he has touched on the key problem that the pre-seminarians and the pastors in the room are going to have to really focus on.
Pre-seminarians and some of the pastors. All right. This is how these folks are getting churches when they breed them up like this. You know, that's how they gonna be able to trust them and give them, you know, they can go to the Baptist convention or the Baptist, whatever they call it, they Senate hall or whatever, where you go get and they make their decisions to who they gonna loan out money to and who they gonna help build a church, and we need a church here, we need a church here, or we need to buy this so-and-so church that just went down. We can get those members in. We can put a fresh pastor in there. We got this pastor here we done raised up. You know, these folks, they gotta get around these circles. They gotta get around these particular people. And this Dean a little creepy, man. He almost like that. He a little creepy. Let me just say that.
A lot. Because this book most of the resistance in the church is based on how this book is read and interpreted. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we know what Genesis says.
And what is the resistance? The resistance is to, you know, letting homosexuals in the church, transgenders, letting people be whatever they want to be, letting people be free, like he said about Martin Luther King. He said, "Let the people be free." And you got to even, you know, there was some rumors about Martin Luther King and this brother named Bernard Rustin. Yeah, y'all look that up. Bernard Rustin. I think he had a case on him too, messing with some little ones. I think he had a case on him. But y'all look up Bernard Rustin and some of them allegations that was on him, and he was like Martin Luther King's right hand man. I think he put together the March on Washington. So they have these key people there, very connected to the little hats, well connected. Where you think this money is coming from? You think it's coming from the black community? You think the black community is supporting the HBC? Where's the money coming from? And there have been some rumors around Morehouse for a minute, you know. There's been some rumors around Morehouse for a minute. Don't send your kids to Morehouse. Don't send your sons to Morehouse, man.
God created male and female.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And see, this is where this whole controversial thing comes from. God created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Don't ever get in your pulpit and say that.
Oh, no.
God created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Don't ever get in your pulpit and say that. That's where we at in this world. Do not speak against that. Do not speak against sin.
Steve, don't ever get in your pulpit and say that.
Oh, no.
Because you will be looking for another job.
That little joke up front, man. Why would I tell you about that little joke up front, man?
And the people who put you out won't just be in the choir either.
Oh, my goodness.
And that was another statement too. And he said the people that put you out say, man, if you say that, you're gonna mess around and be out of a job, meaning that you're gonna lose your church, and it ain't gonna be just the choir, cause they all over the church. Now they the deacons. Now they they members of the board. Now they your biggest tithers sitting up front row. Now they in the politics. Now they your doctors and your lawyers. They running that place. They running the church. They CEOs. They head of the Bible Conference Members Association. You know, man, they in there. They all through there. It's plagued with it. They ain't just in the choir. Them days over with. You saying, man, we done took over. Don't you ever get up there and say nothing like that.
Yeah. You see, there's this.
Lead me to my next question in terms of the
I'm joking. I'm the only one answering questions. Asking questions.
Systematic or dogmatic preaching that is coming from pulpits, and I heard you talk about that in your sermon in terms of that your preaching has to be affirming. And something that Dean stresses in terms of what the purpose of the sermon talkback is to combat structural violence, which is something that happens from the pulpit, where you preach with so much authority, like Dean said, that there's no room for anybody to question. And so in this particular space and in this moment, I would like you to talk about the power of preaching something that is affirming, something that, and then also somebody may accuse you of being motivational, and to talk about the difference and the power of the preaching moment versus just a motivational speech.
That was two questions.
Yeah, that's two questions.
Give me the first one again.
The first one
I have to write some stuff down sometimes.
the first one is to talk about the power of preaching an affirming word. And the second question is to talk about the major difference between, or the power in the preaching moment versus just a motivational speech.
Okay.
Okay, now, I want you to realize that he's asking a question about the kind of language you use in the worship service from the pulpit, the sermon.
I don't think that's what he was saying, but man, that's well, watch what this joker get ready to say.
In particular, and since there's so many different translations of scripture, which translation you're coming from? There are gender neutral translations now.
They have gender neutral translations now. You're not gonna be able to say God is a he no more. You're not gonna be able to do that. Yeah, they're gonna take that up out of there. Yep, they're gonna take all the pronouns up out the Bible.
And so it's very important for the liturgist to watch his or her language.
Very important you watch your language. You up here in the pulpit in the new world. You're going to have to watch your language. You're going to have to watch how you talking about these pronouns. And, you know, they've been trying to get us on that. To ask people their pronouns and you know, well, I don't want to be called that. And, you know, man, I waited tables a very long time. I couldn't imagine waiting tables in this new world, especially in Atlanta. My goodness. And you having to go to the table and you got to ask somebody their pronouns before you greet them. Or you got to use, or, you know, the manager coming in and now he done got word from the division manager that came down from the corporate office that, you know, we need gender neutral introductions now when you go to these tables. Try not to label anybody because it's too many genders. Don't make any assumptions whether that is a male or a female. And he trying to coach you and tell you like, hey man, you know, you got to do it like this and y'all got to say it like this and y'all getting cue cards that you got to memorize and they prepping your kids. Your kids learn it in school. That's why they come home. Man, what you learn in school? Yeah, nothing. Man, they teaching your kids all that mess about these genders and all this. They confusing your kids so much, it's ridiculous. And that's why, you know, go ask your kids, you know, is being a homosexual wrong? See what they say. Ask a 7-year-old, 8-year-old. Is homosexuality wrong? Like, no, they can be whatever they learned that in school.
We had an explosion in a worship service in here one Sunday. I won't tell you about it now, but I just want to mention that. So if I get a chance, as we, you know, open this up, remind me and I will tell you about the explosion over the words that a pastor that I invited in to preside over the religious images week, how he created a violent situation right on the platform and caused my choir, which was from one of the local churches, to run out the door.
All right, now he giving an example of a time recently that he, you know, invited a pastor in there to give a sermon, and he caused an explosion because he probably wasn't saying the right pronouns and offended some of the LGBT community, mostly the choir, who stormed out.
One of those avenues, and I was thinking about this avenue.
What avenue?
See, this word affirming. To be affirming is to be positive.
Sure.
To bless. But the avenue you went down caused the Victory Baptist Church, which became Victory for the World at Stone Mountain, it caused the church to go immediately from having 2,000 every Sunday to having 100.
Yeah, and he giving an example of this church in Stone Mountain, Georgia, called Victory. Man, I stayed in some apartments directly across from this church for at least 5 or 6 years. Humongous church. Humongous church. I went there when I was in college. Me and my partner went there, and it was like an amusement park. And my partner went to use the bathroom. He didn't even come back. They told him he had to stay up because they were filming. He couldn't come back in. They couldn't show him walking back in. So he ended up having to go and sit in the balcony. I don't even think we had cell phones then, man. You know, it was almost like bro, what what happened to you, man? I thought you had done enough. But it was a situation where, they wouldn't let them back in. They were filming. And again, man, you talking about the early 2000s. I think we did have cell phones, but you know, you wasn't calling nobody till after 9. You didn't want to use them. Minutes were vital back then. But never went back again. I think we went together because of the school I went to. It would be like an apartment. Instead of us having dorms, we had apartments. And so you had the girls, they had apartments and in nice areas. They put all the dudes in rough areas. And of course, where the dudes are in the rough areas, it's a lot of churches. In this church here was straight across the street from the location I was at. And I remember it, man. I don't remember this event though, where they made the church, this leader of this church, this pastor, made the decision to be an affirming church, which means they're accepting they accepting the LGBT. And this is why you seeing all these people do that and y'all being all shocked and stuff. They know what's coming. They know what they gotta do. You seen what was that brother name from Eddie Longham Church? Pastor Jamal Bryant. You know, give that apology. Went to that man church and gave them a apology. I think the brother is married to another man, and he apologized on the behalf of the church to the LGBT community, how they hurt them. He know what's coming down. He know what the new church is. He making sure he stand relevant.
This word,
Right.
That old church model is gonna fall by the wayside.
affirming.
Right.
The pastor went to the pulpit one Sunday morning. I'm going to invite him. He's been here to preach, Reverend Kenneth Samuels. And he announced that from now on out, Victory Church will be an affirming congregation.
Mm-hmm.
I remember too, in the first place when I was in school, the first place they placed us, or placed me rather, and others, is, you know, that they had several apartments in this complex, but it was on Church Street. So it was several churches down that road of Church Street.
What does that mean?
Inclusive. Inclusive.
Inclusive. And the membership
Affirming church means inclusive.
many people interpreted that as, he's opened the church up to gays.
Yeah.
The LGBTQIA crowd. So I'm not going to stick around here. And they left. The next Sunday, they were not there.
So when he said that, you know, and he meant that, but you can't say it like that. You say it like that, people are going to get offended and leave. You got to gradually do it. And he was probably one of the first ones to jump out there, and it ended up costing him.
Because of one word. And protesters, white protesters, came from out west, like Colorado, flew in here.
And that's sad. You know, that you even had to get white folks involved. They done flew in. They done seen what this joker done did down here at this church, and now he's trying to be an affirming church. They done flew in. This joker said they done flew in from Colorado to protest this church. Tell you a fun fact too. When we was in there, Killer Mike stayed in that exact same complex. So shout out to Killer Mike, man, for making it out, man. staying with it. You know what I'm saying? And he just won a Grammy and all of that stuff. But that was just another fun fact.
Because it was in the newspapers. The Victory was becoming an affirming church. And they picketed the church on a Sunday morning. Let me tell you what the pastor did. It was Victory Baptist Church. He wasn't getting any help from the National Baptist Convention or the Progressive National Baptist Convention.
See, and this is church business. All right, they get church loans. They ain't getting these loans from Wells Fargo. They getting these loans from the what do you say, the Baptist Church Convention, the American Baptist Church Convention, and the Progressive Baptist Church Convention. These folks are handing out these loans for these churches for them to pay them back. I don't know what the interest is on it or whatever. And these churches, they pretty much a bank. They pretty much a bank. And even when they repossess it, they can put another church there. They can grab, even though, okay, let's say I went in there, I got a loan from them, and then, or just say this pastor here that he's talking about, and he didn't end up losing the church. The Baptist Convention, they still own the church. He forfeited on the loan. They get the church back, and they put that little joker that's standing up there on front. They got him coming in the wing to put him in there and reset and start the loan process back. It's big business. Y'all sitting here talking about some doing donations and some tithes. And you don't went to church your whole life putting $2 in there and $5 in there. And you think these folks living off of that? Come on, man. It's big business. It's big business. Start a school. See how hard it is. Start a school with Israelites. That's why a lot of Israelites don't have buildings. That's why a lot of Israelites don't have storefronts. It's hard getting that money from us. We don't understand the business.
So he put the church,
and I think it's close to 90% of churches fail,
under dual membership in the Baptist Convention and joined the United Church of Christ. Same denomination that Otis Moss III is a member of, because they have a much more learned set of policies and beliefs. You know what you're not aware of?
And two, that last part he said he went and he became a dual member of this other organization. They're a little more liberal. And they was able to help him out even though he's trying to be this affirming church. I don't know if I clipped the rest of it, and I don't think I put it in here. But eventually that pastor ended up getting they end up selling that church. Victory Baptist ended up being sold. And then he got, he took those little few members that he had left. And we talking about seated thousands. I think he said he seated at least 2,000 members that dwindled down to a few hundred. And it was, like I say, it is not only that, it was packed to the point where they had to let the kids had their own church. And when I say they had their own church, I mean they had their own building outside. They had another church outside that with a whole nother parking lot, whole nother pastor. So it wasn't nothing but adults in, the main cathedral, the main tabernacle, and the main church part that dealt with the filming. Anybody 16 and under, they went to teen church or kid church or whatever with the youth pastor and all of that. Youth church.
Raphael Warnock. Everybody knows who that is.
Yes.
Is it here now?
You know what you're not aware of? Raphael Warnock.
You know what you're not aware of? Raphael Warnock. Y'all know who that is? Hold on. Hold on. Let me make sure y'all know who that is. Oh, man. Mic check. Look at it. Raphael Warnock. Y'all remember him? Running for Georgia Senate. Georgia Senate race. If you was in Georgia, you know Raphael. Matter of fact, he's the pastor at Martin Luther King's church, Ebenezer Baptist Church. He is the lead pastor at Ebenezer's Baptist Church. But this brother gonna bring out some stuff about Pastor Democrat Raphael Warnock. Hold on. Let's go back to the film.
Seminaries that many of you are going into, the divinity schools, the schools of theology, the faculty.
Yeah.
Raphael Warnock. Everybody knows who that is.
Yes.
You know where he's the pastor.
Yes.
He prepared a PowerPoint presentation on the strategic plan that they officers put together for the next year. And the membership came to the meeting strong enough to packed downstairs in the sanctuary. It was first class. Everything was approved. And the congregation unanimously voted, that's where we're going. And it was just harmony. And then the pastor said, now that we've gone through this, we're going to open up the floor for questions and answers and give you a chance to.
Now, Raphael Warnock is a very influential, very powerful person in the so-called black community. Imagine, the powers that be, got him to head this movement. Maybe, go ahead and start it at your church. Break this thing in. So he brings out this PowerPoint presentation, and he's using the right wording to gradually bring in the affirming church. And then he asks for questions. After he brings down this presentation, everybody agrees, probably all yes, man. Everybody agrees, and then one member has a question. One sister has a question for Raphael Warnock, her pastor.
Maybe tweak some of this, respond, help strengthen it. One woman got up. Her name is Maud King.
Maud King might be some blood.
And Maud King said, I have a question for the pastor. I want to know, is it true that you're going with a man?
That's not her question.
Now that happened. The church,
and cause she had her reservations. Like she ain't just saying that. She had her intuitions kicking in. Like, this joker here is dealing with, Ann said she in her 70s. Hey man, this joker dealing with men.
fell into deep silence.
Jesus. Well,
Like, come on, y'all. Who said ain't nothing but men in there? Jesus.
that's not her question.
Now that happened. The church, fell into deep silence.
Jesus. Well,
Warnock just stared at her And she repeated the question. It was instantly the case that the congregation.
That joker there is kind of heavy set brother. He gonna have a mega church. Watch.
Did not want him to respond to that. And so he said,
Gonna get in caught some scandal, be on that brother named Larry Reed.
your question is inappropriate. I'm going to go to the next question. She proceeded to cause a scene.
So Raphael Warnock didn't want to answer the question. Told her question was inappropriate.
The church officers got up from the first row, and several of them went back and said to her, "If you don't sit down, we're going to ask you to leave." Now I'm going to skip and tell you how it came out. The church had to take her to court.
And the church ended up having to take her to court. We're going to get a little more on that. We got 4 more minutes of the clip.
We're going to ask you to leave. Now I'm going to skip and tell you how it came out. The church had to take her to court, and the judge ruled in favor of the congregation and expelled her from the congregation.
Of course, they ruled in favor of the congregation. That is Raphael Warnock. All right, he's a great influence, especially in the city of Atlanta, especially in Georgia. Very powerful individual. This one sister stood for righteousness. What's that? Kim King? Salute to that sister.
Jesus.
Today, she
And that's the moral of the story. It's these sisters who gonna have to stand up in these churches and say something. It ain't gonna be the men. The men ain't gonna bring no change in that. It's gonna have to be the sisters to get up and say something. Get up and walk out and not be a part of it. It's gonna have to be the sisters.
is a member of the Friendship Baptist Church. Her husband was a deacon. Eventually, he left. Her daughter played the piano. She left. Now, that, my friend, would probably take place a lot of places if you push this too hard or in the wrong way.
And this was, he's using these examples to let them know you gotta gradually put it in. You know, it's like putting it on, like them folk be killing people, putting the antifreeze in the, some woman killed her husband putting the antifreeze in the tea. You know, you gotta gradually poison them. Don't try to do it all at one time, step by step. They got us in the skinny jeans. You know, and now they got us painting our nails. And eventually, jokers gonna start wearing lipstick. Eventually, jokers is gonna normalize men wearing lipstick. That's gonna be the next one. They gonna normalize men wearing lipstick.
But you know what she did? She picketed the church and got other people to join her. Just a small little group of people. And she parked.
That's why so many women love Dennis Rodman. That's why I say, man, black women love gay men. And not just black women, women love gay men. These jokers love Dennis Rodman. Not because of his looks. It was that gayness. It was that, that joker was, he was that weirdness that he had about him. That effeminate side. Prince. They love Prince.
Outside of his house and started watching when he came and when he left.
Oh my God.
And she was like, I'm gonna get proof. I'm gonna get proof this joker is out here living a double life.
Wow.
Yep.
I've heard of that before.
And she grew up in a parsonage. Her father was a pastor.
Jesus.
And he's smiling like she shouldn't have did that. Because she grew up in the church. She grew up in the church with her father, and her father taught her right. That's she gonna be questioning jokers. When jokers be all effeminate. When jokers have effeminate ways. We winding down, y'all.
This is what you can be up against. The church was 100% for Warnock.
And if I can,
Church was 100% behind Warnock with it from me, but it just took one. Took one or two, and that's all it takes. Takes just a few, just a remnant to make some noise. All right, that's a lesson you can learn. Your sisters can learn from this. That especially, family. You got family that's going to these churches and so forth, and this thing is getting out. They need to understand that. But man, these sisters be the first one to fight against you on that thing, man.
add something that
Leave him alone.
Professorship at Cambridge University in England.
my Lord.
Now something else like this is about to happen. You know what book is coming. It's late, should have been out in January.
This the book he talking about that's coming. Queering Black Churches, Dismantling Heteronormativity in African American Congregations. They're going to destroy the normality of heterosexualism. My goodness. They probably gave the Joker a PhD for this book. And he's up here like, hey man, it's great. This book is about to come and it's about to it's about to flip the theologian world upside down. And these jokers sitting up here going back and forth about the church fathers. Where you at, Berean TV?
Brandon Thomas Crowley's new book is titled Queering Congregations. It's going to have the effect in seminaries that James Cone's book on Black liberation theology had in the mid-1960s. I was in seminary when that book hit. It turned theological education upside down.
And if I can add something there, Dean, this is why a lot of people in traditional church settings decide that they're going to marry, they may have been with their partner or they find a partner. I'm going to get married because I can't get a church unless I'm married.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
See, he been dealing with that. He been dealing with that. And he don't want to do it. He don't want to get no wife. He don't want to pretend. He's so deep in it, he can't pretend. He gonna have him a first male, whatever, man.
Yeah.
But I declared to myself that if I'm not ready to get married, I won't be married.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Nah, he declared that he gonna have him a first man.
I'm going to get married because I can't get a church unless I'm married.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
But I declared to myself that if I'm not ready to get married, I won't be married.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Declare.
And you know what these people with those rules forget?
Now watch this ignorance gonna come out his mouth.
They forget that Jesus was a bachelor.
Now that wasn't it. That wasn't the ignorance I'm talking about. Keep watching.
You preaching. You preaching mighty well today.
You said Jesus
With
was
those
a
rules
bachelor.
forget? They forget that Jesus was a bachelor.
Now they don't pump him
You
up.
preaching.
He finna go. He finna double down. Watch him.
My. They don't preach that
You
text.
see, what they really forget.
They don't preach that. They don't
If
preach it.
you think that's something, try this on. They forget that Jesus had hips.
They forget that Jesus had hips, man. What in the world is this joker talking about? I don't want to know. Where the Christian apologists? Where somebody tag smart Christian?
My.
And it's happening too on the opposite end of the femininity and the church and women taking over the church. You know that God was a feminine spirit and they moving in too. See, once they done feminized and got you up here showing tissue like these jokers up here, they gonna bust they move and they gonna kick it in. We're gonna have a lot of Deborahs at the not that Deborah was out of the spirit doing that, but it's gonna be a lot of people declaring themselves to be Deborah or affirming themselves to be. It's gonna be a lot of studs. It's gonna be a lot of studs jumping up in the pulpit, being more masculine than the man. It's finna look terrible, man. It's gonna happen fast too. I give it 5 more years. If we hear another 5, my goodness.
They don't preach that text.
You see, what they really forget.
They don't preach that. They don't preach it.
You think that's something? Try this on. They forget that Jesus had hips.
Wait. And body. That's what the song said. Hips, legs, and body. That's what the song.
Tag vocab alone.
I'm not saying nothing else about that. But if
He knew he couldn't even go that far. When this camera go off, this joker gonna say so much. Anyway,
you want to know what I'm talking about,
man, watch your kids, man. Don't bring your kids to Atlanta, man. Don't bring your kids to Atlanta to none of them schools, man. Clark, Spelman, Morehouse. Don't do it, man. Yeah, not even the Cab Tech. Stay away from. Woo! My goodness.
Thank you, Jesus.
get ready now.
I'm confused right now.
I'm getting ready to put the skunk on the table.
Put it on the table.
Are you ready?
I'm ready to smell it.
Smuggle the spinach.
Go to my Facebook page and just scroll down just a few till you come to the latest book
Oh my! I
that
saw
I
that.
have recommended.
I saw that.
And he out here. This is a dean. It's a dean at Morehouse recommending a book that says something about Jesus having some hips. We seen the video I did about the pastor did the sermon on Ruth and Naomi being in a sexual relationship. Man, they gonna spin all these stories, man. They gonna spin all of them. Samson and Delilah. Samson really wanted the soldier, man.
You get this book, and you will be introduced to the world that is coming based on the Bible.
See, he's telling you there's a world coming, and they basing it, and they gonna base it. I don't know how he even saying that. I don't even know how he's saying that. But they gonna use the text. They gonna spin the text to try to usher this thing in. The thing that that's you know, and that's how Satan works, man. Satan, the very thing, the very tool that was given to the earth to keep us away from this wickedness is the same tool, the Antichrist, the same tool that they're going to use to bring that foolishness and the wickedness in.